Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A single complete turn, axial or orbital. The revolution of the Earth about the Sun takes 1 year. A drastic and far-reaching change in ways of thinking and behaving. The Industrial Revolution was also a cultural revolution. The overthrow of a government by those who are governed. The act of rotating in a circle or spiral. A single complete turn, axial or orbital. The act of rotating as if on an axis. The rotation of the dancer kept time with the music. A single complete turn, axial or orbital. The plane made 3 rotations before it crashed. A planned recurrent sequence, of crops or personnel, etc. Crop rotation makes a balanced demand on the fertility of the soil. Mathematics. A transformation in which the coordinate axes are rotated by a fixed angle about the origin. A movement in a new direction. The turning of the wind. The act of changing or reversing the direction of the course. Act of changing in practice or custom. The law took many turnings over the years. A shaving created when something is produced by turning it on a lathe. The activity of shaping something on a lathe. The end product created by shaping something on a lathe. To break and turn over earth, especially with a plow. Turn the earth in the spring. Twist suddenly so as to sprain. I turned my ankle and couldn't walk for several days. Pass into a condition gradually, take on a specific property or attribute, become. The weather turned nasty. Cause to move around a center so as to show another side of. Turn a page of a book. Undergo a change or development. The water turned into ice. Let something fall or spill from a container. Turn the flour onto a plate. Cause a plastic object, to assume a crooked or angular form. The strong man could turn an iron bar. Undergo a transformation or a change of position or action. We turned from socialism to capitalism. Pass to the other side of. Turn the corner. Have recourse to or make an appeal or request for help or information to. She turned to her relatives for help. Turning or twisting around, in place. A favor for someone. He did me a good turn. Change to the contrary. The tides turned against him. Game. The activity of doing something in an agreed succession. It is my turn. A short performance that is part of a longer program. A circular segment of a curve. Sports. A division during which one team is on the offensive. A time period for working, after which you will be relieved by someone else. A movement in a new direction. The turning of the wind. An unforeseen development. Events suddenly took an awkward turn. The act of changing or reversing the direction of the course. He took a turn to the right. Go sour or spoil. The cream has turned, we have to throw it out. Accomplish by rotating. Turn a somersault. Alter the functioning or setting of. Turn the dial to 10. Become officially 1 year older. She is turning 50 this year. Cause to change or turn into something different. Assume new characteristics. The princess turned the frog into a prince by kissing him. Cause to move along an axis or into a new direction. Turn your face to the wall. Cause to move around or rotate. Turn a key. Change color. In Vermont, the leaves turn early. Change orientation or direction, also in the abstract sense. The mugger turned and fled before I could see his face. Channel one's attention, interest, thought, or attention toward or away from something. The pedophile turned to boys for satisfaction. Direct at someone. She turned a smile on me. Get by buying and selling. The company turned a good profit after a year. Move around an axis or a center. The wheels are turning. Shape by rotating on a lathe or cutting device or a wheel. Turn the legs of the table. Taking a short walk out and back. We took a turn in the park. The act of turning away or in the opposite direction. He made an abrupt turn away from her. To send or let go. They turned away the crowd at the gate of the governor's mansion. The act of making something different, as e.g. the size of a garment. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The neighborhood had undergone few modifications since his last visit years ago. The grammatical relation that exists when a word qualifies the meaning of the phrase. Slightly modified copy, not an exact copy. A modification of last year's model. Lay aside, abandon, or leave for another. The car changed lanes. Cause to change, make different, cause a transformation. The discussion has changed my thinking about the issue. Exchange or replace with another, usually of the same kind or category. He changed his name. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The change was intended to increase sales. Become different in some particular way, without permanently losing one's or its former characteristics or essence. Her mood changes in accordance with the weather. Give to, and receive from, one another. Would you change places with me? Become deeper in tone. His voice began to change when he was 12 years old. Change from one vehicle or transportation line to another. She changed in Chicago on her way to the East Coast. A difference that is usually pleasant. It is a refreshing change to meet a woman mechanic. A different or fresh set of clothes. She brought a change in her overnight bag. A relational difference between states, especially between states before and after some event. He attributed the change to their marriage. A thing that is different. He inspected several changes before selecting one. Change clothes. Put on different clothes. Coins of small denomination regarded collectively. He had a pocketful of change. Money received in return for its equivalent in a larger denomination or a different currency. He got change for a 20 and used it to pay the taxi driver. Remove or replace the coverings of. Father had to learn how to change the baby. The action of changing something. The change of government had no impact on the economy. The balance of money received when the amount you tender is greater than the amount due. I paid with a 20 and pocketed the change. The result of alteration or modification. There were marked changes in the lining of the lungs. Undergo a change. Become different in essence, losing one's or its original nature. She changed completely as she grew older. The act of making something different, as e.g. the size of a garment. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The act of revising or altering, involving reconsideration and modification. Action taken by a group of people. Rotary motion of an object around its own axis. Cause to spin. Spin a coin. Prolong or extend. Spin out a visit. Rapid descent of an aircraft in a steep spiral. Revolve quickly and repeatedly around one's own axis. The act of rotating rapidly. He gave the crank a spin. A distinctive interpretation, especially as used by politicians to sway public opinion. The campaign put a favorable spin on the story. A short drive in a car. He took the new car for a spin. A swift whirling motion, usually of a missile. Form a web by making a thread. Spiders spin a fine web. Make up a story. Spin a yarn. Stream in jets, of liquids. Twist and turn so as to give an intended interpretation. The president's spokesman had to spin the story to make it less embarrassing. Work natural fibers into a thread. Spin silk. Rotation to the left. Rotation to the left. Rotation to the right. Motion of an object in an orbit around a fixed point. A list of names. His name was struck off the rolls. Move along on or as if on wheels or a wheeled vehicle. The president's convoy rolled past the crowds. Cause to move by turning over or in a circular manner of as if on an axis. She rolled the ball. Move by turning over or rotating. The child rolled down the hill. A deep prolonged sound, as of thunder or large bells. Small rounded bread, either plain or sweet. Show certain properties when being rolled. The carpet rolls unevenly. A roll of currency notes, often taken as the resources of a person or business, etc. He shot his roll on a bob-tailed nag. A long heavy sea wave as it advances towards the shore. Flatten or spread with a roller. Roll out the paper. The sound of a drum, especially a snare drum, beaten rapidly and continuously. Arrange or coil around. Roll your hair around your finger. The act of throwing dice. Move about aimlessly or without any destination, often in search of food or employment. They rolled from town to town. Sell something to or obtain something from by energetic and especially underhanded activity. Boil vigorously. The water rolled. A round shape formed by a series of concentric circles, as formed by leaves or flower petals. The act of rolling something, as the ball in bowling. Move in a wavy pattern or with a rising and falling motion. The waves rolled towards the beach. A document that can be rolled up, as for storage. Rotary motion of an object around its own axis. Occur in soft rounded shapes. The hills rolled past. A flight maneuver. Aircraft rotates about its longitudinal axis without changing direction or losing altitude. Anything rolled up in cylindrical form. Begin operating or running. The cameras were rolling. Emit, produce, or utter with a deep prolonged reverberating sound. The thunder rolled. Execute a roll, in tumbling. The gymnasts rolled and jumped. Move, rock, or sway from side to side. The ship rolled on the heavy seas. Photographic film rolled up inside a container to protect it from light. Pronounce with a roll, of the phoneme, R. She rolls her R's. Shape by rolling. Roll a cigarette. Take the shape of a roll or cylinder. The carpet rolled out. Walking with a swaying gait. Rotation to the right. Motion of an object in an orbit around a fixed point. Satellites in orbital rotation. Rotary motion of an object around its own axis. Wheels in axial rotation. The introduction of pesticides and high-yield grains and better management during the 1960s and 1970s which greatly increased agricultural productivity. A radical reform in China initiated by Mao Zedong in 1965 and carried out largely by the Red Guard. Intended to eliminate counter-revolutionary elements in the government, it resulted in purges of the intellectuals and socio-economic chaos. A radical reform in China initiated by Mao Zedong in 1965 and carried out largely by the Red Guard. Intended to eliminate counter-revolutionary elements in the government, it resulted in purges of the intellectuals and socio-economic chaos. A revolution whose aim is to reverse the changes introduced by a previous revolution. The Revolution of the American Colonies against Great Britain, 1775 to 1783. The Revolution of the American Colonies against Great Britain, 1775 to 1783. The Revolution of the American Colonies against Great Britain, 1775 to 1783. The Revolution of the American Colonies against Great Britain, 1775 to 1783. The Revolution against James II. There was little armed resistance to William and Mary in England, although battles were fought in Scotland and Ireland, 1688 to 1689. The Republican Revolution against the Manchu dynasty in China, 1911–1912. The revolution led by Fidel Castro and a small band of guerrilla fighters against a corrupt dictatorship in Cuba, 1956–1959. The Revolution against James II. There was little armed resistance to William and Mary in England, although battles were fought in Scotland and Ireland, 1688–1689.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.